Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the JT Jorphy podcast. Today, I have with me Stephanie Rogers, and she is the owner of HardBodyz Fitness and also Rebel Core Pilates. Thank you for being on the show, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me, JT. Good seeing you.
Yeah, likewise. So maybe you could start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and your own health and fitness journey, and how did you end up starting your own businesses centered around fitness and exercise?
Absolutely. So actually about 15 years ago, we're actually going to be celebrating 15 years in business this June at HardBodyz.
Ooh, congrats.
Thank you. My brother and my family really, and I had an idea years ago. My dad was a business owner and had his own business for 30 something years. And my brother and I knew we wanted to own our own business one day, but we didn't know what that was. So in high school, my brother got into personal training, loved bodybuilding, loved the gym, found his love in the gym, and he worked his way up as a personal trainer while he was very young. Right out of high school, he knew that that's what he wanted to do. So he got certified as a trainer, got himself into a couple gyms, really got his feet wet right away, and knew that that's the space that he wanted to be in. Around the same time, I had just started my journey in corporate America with corporate Canon, the business division. So yes, the camera company. And it was a great job. I mean, it was a great job right out of college for me. I loved it. I gained tons of experience, but it also at the same time showed me that corporate really wasn't for me. I knew that I just wanted more out of life. I didn't want to sit in a cubicle all day from 5 days a week. I needed more. And actually at the time, I was going through my own health journey. I was very overweight, very unhappy, and I just felt stuck. Around that time when I feel like the universe was pushing me to do something, to find more, to do more. Like I said, I was dealing with some health issues and I was very unhappy at work. My brother and my dad had approached me essentially and said, why don't we do something together as a family? My dad was in real estate, owned his own business. My brother had basically at this point hit the ceiling where he was in the gym. And he was a fitness director. There was nowhere else for him to go from that point. So they had the idea of opening a gym. And on one hand, I wanted to own my own business. On the other hand, I'm severely overweight. I have zero business owning a gym. So it kind of was what I needed to kind of kick me into gear. I threw myself into it. We found a space, we found a building, and a location. And within a year, we brought HardBodyz Fitness to life. And thankfully, in that same year, something just changed for me and clicked. And once we opened the gym, I just knew that this was the space that I needed to be in, that this was meant for me. And ultimately, I changed my life. I literally hired one of our trainers that we had, one of our first trainers, to kick my butt 4 to 5 days a week. Learned everything I could about nutrition, and I finally got myself healthy. I lost a lot of weight, but the big thing for me was healthy. And I did. I changed my life. I was so much happier. And now I was taking a more active role in actually running our business instead of just being on the back end of it. And that is what led me to personal training. I started having people approach me. How did you lose all this weight? What did you do? You look phenomenal. You look so happy, all this stuff. And I never saw myself as a trainer. But one day I just did. I was like, I did this for myself. Why can't I want to help other people? Why can't I do this for other people? And so I did. I got certified in sports nutrition. I got certified as a personal trainer. I poured myself into different modalities that I liked also. Soon after personal training certification came TRX. And then I learned about pre and postnatal training so I could help moms to be and after they have the baby. And from there, I found Rebel Core just a few years ago. This was something that I used or I found for myself personally to be a complement to my strength training, because although I do love it, I love it more than anything. I was from one extreme to another. I wasn't ever working out 15 years ago. And then about 10 years ago, I was doing too much and I was really stiff and really not mobile. I was dealing with some injuries and I just couldn't get past them. They were just like a nagging thing. So I knew I needed something different to kind of balance out strength training and all of the stuff that I was doing and enjoyed. And that's where I found modern Pilates. I started taking a class and I loved it. It really changed the way that my body felt and moved and just everything. And I convinced Bill. I was like, we need this. We need to do this. We need to create this. for people. And that's what we did. And so there I am with HardBodyz and Rebel Core, juggling it all, but they really are the perfect complement to one another, not only business wise, but also physically. They complement each other well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I definitely want to dive more into kind of the specifics of Rebel Core and the type of Pilates and maybe kind of what differentiates it. But maybe before we kind of focus exclusively on that, I just wanted to rewind back to that transition. It seemed like a total revamp of your entire life when you were going from like a corporate job and struggling with weight issues to then opening a gym and going through your own kind of personal transformation. Maybe you could kind of walk us through that. Like, were there particular things or like moments of inspiration that you had, like maybe small baby steps that got you on that? Or was it like kind of like an overnight thing? Like, what was that? What were kind of like the early things that you were able to do to like really start implementing and get on a path to maybe like eating better, exercising more consistently? Like, kind of what did that look like?
Yeah. It was kind of, honestly, it was kind of two different things. I think creating pressure at the same time. Number one, like you said, it was a huge transition in just life. Everything was kind of, I felt like I just took my basket, dumped it out, and like see what I could put back into it.
Right.
Kind of thing. So while the transitions in life were going on, it also just kind of put me in this space where I was surrounded by people who wanted to be better and healthier, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I kind of almost had to, I'm in this space trying to motivate people to come to the gym, sign up at the gym, and I'm not even doing it for myself. So something really just clicked for me. And I was like, this needs to be a part of my life. And at the same time, those said health issues were really just rearing their ugly head. I basically had a health scare around the same time. I had some blood work done, and my doctor looked at me. I think at that point, I guess I was 22, maybe 23. My doctor looked at me when the blood work came back, and she said, "You're pre-diabetic. You're too young for this. You are in control. You're too young for this." So she basically told me it's either medication or you need to really make some changes. And that was all I needed to hear. That news hit me like a brick. And I walked out of that office and I was like, this is it. Like this, I have no excuses. This is my choice now. And then that's when I couldn't avoid it anymore. I had to acknowledge that I was in my own way. I was standing in my own way. And so I just was that person where I was like, there's got to be something wrong there. I needed something to blame something for why I couldn't lose weight. And then when I realized that something was me, all excuses just went out the window. And that's when I hired our trainer. I dove into nutrition. I am a very much so like make it make sense type person. I need to know why I'm doing this for me to continue to do it. So I literally learned everything I could about nutrition and eating better and healthier and eating whole foods. The importance of whole foods completely changed the way that I was eating. So it was a lot of little baby steps, but at the same time, I slowly started changing what I was eating. I slowly started getting more comfortable in the gym, and I just started focusing more on me. And I think being in the environment that I was in only helped. It really did. I have to say I had the upper hand. I was walking into the gym every day for work. So my excuse was really just gone. I didn't have to look to go to the gym because I was already there. So it was one of those things where I really think the universe just created that kind of pressure and was like, okay, you're here. You're in. All of these things have aligned now. Do something with it. Right. And I did. Obviously in the beginning, I lost a bunch of weight quickly. But then it slows down. As most people know that are trying to change their body, things change and they slow down when you get into the nitty gritty. So it's a process every day. I still work at it. I still, battle bad habits. I still, have to keep myself on track. But ultimately, it changed my life for the better. It changed my mindset for the better. I did. I left a lot of really bad habits in the past. And I feel like a completely different person.
Yeah, that's wild. I think the environment and the folks you surround yourself with, have been told numerous times, like the top 5 people that you spend the most time with, you'll basically become some sort of amalgamation of them. So if you're constantly surrounded by folks who are working out and focused on nutrition and healthy habits, it makes sense that by osmosis, you'll start to kind of adapt or adopt some of those practices as well. Maybe like in a kind of similar regard, going from like a corporate job to owning a business, was that transition difficult? Was it kind of scary going from something that's maybe a little bit more predictable, like a 9 to 5, to something I assume unpredictable as far as finding a space and creating the gym within that? What was that transition like for you?
It was, I'll be honest, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. It was a very, very big step. But I think what had helped was seeing our dad. My brother and I saw our dad so successful for so many years. And the fact that he was in the beginning doing this with us, I think that kind of gave us the confidence to know, like, okay, we are, yes, pouring everything that we have into this. Like, this is still a very big deal, but we have kind of that like backbone. We had that, I don't know, grounding force that kind of made us feel a little bit more secure with our decision, but it was still terrifying. I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was, school, a very short time in corporate America. And now here I am. I'm throwing it basically all out the window for something I'm taking a chance on. So it was very scary in the beginning, and a lot. It was a lot. I mean, we were both very young. I was in my early 20s or closer to mid 20s, and my brother's in his early 20s. So like, we really had no experience. We were just kind of like, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's hope this works out. But it was scary. All I knew was that 9 to 5 for that very short time. And that very quickly became almost 24/7, especially in the beginning. It was a good few years before we could even hire a team or staff outside of personal trainers. So my brother and I were working 6, 7 days a week, 10-hour days. And that became very normal, very quick. And that's what we needed to do to sustain it, to build it up. Thankfully, now we have a wonderful team in place. We've got a great team of trainers. We've got a great team of support staff, but it's still a lot. The gym hours are very long. We're open, most hours of the day, but it's great. It's become a great community that we really love. I love walking into the gym every day. I still do, whether it's for my workout or, for work. I love what we get to do because we've built such a beautiful, loyal community of like-minded people that genuinely support each other, no matter what, whether it's in the gym or out of the gym. It's really become like, I call them my fifth family. I do. I feel like it's this big, giant, like, family, but it was scary in the beginning.
Yeah. Seems like an intimidating leap of faith, but yeah, nice to have family to back you up and kind of provide that support going through, like you're mentioning, the first few years of kind of being there full time, not even being able to hire staff. So really grinding out those 6, 7 days a week, I imagine could get tiring over time. So
Yeah.
with that experience, kind of as you have gone through that with HardBodyz, what inspired you to want to do it all again by starting another new business with Rebel Core? Were you apprehensive based on that previous experience, or just up for the challenge again? What was the thought process there?
So I don't know if I was delirious or just crazy now. But I genuinely, our community is really like what drives me. I love so much what we've been able to create at HardBodyz that I did. Some crazy part of me wanted to do it all over again with this other part of the community. And like I said, about, 5 years ago when I found modern Pilates for myself, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I felt the benefits, not only the complement to strength training, but the benefits for me physically and mentally. It forced me to be so present in this workout. And it really just changed my body. It did what I was hoping to find in Pilates. And I just felt like it was such a great compliment that I wanted to bring it to more people. And there wasn't enough of this around. It wasn't accessible to enough people that I basically said to Bill one day, I'm like, listen, I know this might sound crazy. I'm like, but I think we need to do this because I think people will really love this. They can benefit from it. And it's a great complement to whatever else you do physically or your only workout. We have people from all walks of life at Rebel Core, and everybody finds what they need in it. If it's the flexibility, if it's the mobility, if it's the core work, if it's, we kind of created Rebel Core from bodybuilding principles. We took what I already knew and kind of made it our own. So you're going to see things that you do in the gym, we do them on the X Former and vice versa. So it really became this amazing thing that I knew people would love. And we just decided to take a leap of faith, with Bill's social media and marketing background and my background in fitness. We just really felt like we both brought two really important pieces to the table. And we took that big leap of faith, and it it paid off. I mean, we have an amazing community in Roseland that we've built, and we're now building our amazing community in Cedar Knolls, and people are really responding beautifully to it. They love it. They feel the way that I do about it. And that's all I wanted for this community. I wanted people to find fun and fit, to find their strength in fitness, to feel empowered, but to also be able to come somewhere where you feel a part of something. So I feel really proud that we have created this and we've been able to do it kind of all over again. And that's what keeps me fired up. That's what gets me so excited for every day, that even though we're, again, now working 7 days a week, which feels like around the clock, that's also what drives me to keep going, is like, people love this. And I want to keep bringing more people into this community so that they feel what I'm feeling. And yeah, so it was a little crazy and still kind of is, but I'm glad that we did it. I'm really glad that we did it.
Yeah. And you guys have had such great success so far. And like you're mentioning, your husband, Bill, with his social media skills and just being able to promote and really show, visually and through videos what the experience looks like. Because the first time I saw a video, I think I saw a video first before I saw it in person of like the machine. I was like, what is that? Like, I never knew that Pilates had machines, and maybe you can actually kind of maybe walk the audience through, like myself, for those that have never seen either a reformer or an X-former. Could you maybe talk about the differences between, standard Pilates on like a mat or on the ground versus Pilates on a reformer or X-former machine?
Absolutely. So there's, when we talk about Pilates, there's lots of different methods or styles of it. So as you mentioned, you have your mat Pilates, which is done on a mat on the floor. Sometimes some light weights can be incorporated. We also have classical Pilates, which is done on a reformer. That's pretty common to most people, that in the mat. The reformer is basically, generally it's a wooden kind of frame. It has a sliding carriage on it, and it has one platform. It also has a set of straps that are attached to resistance that you can do all different types of stuff with. Core work, upper body, lower body, flexibility, mobility. The X-former takes the reformer and kind of beefs it up a little bit. It gives you an extra platform and allows you to do everything on one piece of equipment. Jumping back to the classical style a little bit and the reformer, you have your reformer, and lots of classical studios also have things called a Cadillac. They have different size boxes. And that basically is, I guess, kind of like the addition to the reformer. You can't do everything on the reformer. So that's why you need that Cadillac. You need that box. We take all of those pieces of equipment and kind of mash it into the X-former. So the X-former has two platforms. It's a very big piece of equipment. It's about 17 feet long. It has a platform at each end. The middle still has that riding carriage or gliding carriage that's attached to resistance. But again, the resistance is also beefed up. We have 5 white springs and we have 2 black springs. The black are heavy, the white are all light. In addition to the springs being different, the additional platform, we also have an additional set of straps that you can do all different types of stuff with. Long straps, short straps, we use them for upper body, lower body, some core stuff. We get you doing every single basically exercise, on the X-former. You're going between light resistance, heavy resistance, and then what we do, which is a little different than in classical Pilates. Classical Pilates is slow transitions, slow movements. It really is designed for more like rehab. People who are trying to rehab injuries. That's actually where this came from. Joseph Pilates created Pilates, and he was actually... It's a really interesting story, actually, and I just really dove into it. He was actually a circus performer, and he was super strong, dealing with some injuries himself, but he also was kind of, I guess, like the ringleader. So he had some people that would come to him for, can you help me with this? Or I've injured myself. How can I rehab this? And he created the first reformer and the first Pilates workout. This is meant for basically rehabbing injury. So it was all very slow and controlled, slow transitions, slow movements. What we've done over the years is keep the movement slow, which lends itself to time under tension, which, as we know from science and research and studies, that is the biggest thing to change the body and change the muscle is time under tension. That's where change happens. So we've kept that part of it the same, where it's slow as you can go, but we transition you faster. So you do actually get a heart rate spike because you are working so hard to go slow, that it's such a challenge to your body that it creates that heart rate spike. So a lot of people liken this to like their style of cardio, which technically, I guess you can argue you are getting some form of cardio from this because the heart rate is high, you're in control. So those are the main differences when we talk about classical Pilates to modern Pilates. And the other main differences are what we've incorporated into our method specifically. So the Rebel Core method was created by essentially Bill and I. We've taken classical Pilates, we've taken contemporary Pilates, which is kind of a mashup of the two. We've taken bodybuilding principles, physical therapy, yoga, and flexibility, and mashed it all into our method. So you get a lot of different stuff when you come to Rebel Core. There's something for everybody. And I like to say it like that because everybody that sees this has kind of the same reaction you did. Like, what is that thing? I've never seen and they're immediately intimidated. But the minute they try it, they are hooked because they feel empowered, they feel strong, and they realize that everybody can actually do this and everybody gets something different out of it. And that's the beauty of it. Even though they're group classes, we have 13 at each studio or 13 X-Formers studio, you still get a very much so individualized workout. And our instructors make sure of it. We are huge on correction, making sure that we program efficiently. We want you to get the best out of your workout. We understand that not everybody has what I had to be able to walk into a gym every day. Most people have that 45 minutes and it needs to be efficient for them. So we really get very serious about our programming, about our training, and we make sure we give you the most bang for your buck in that 45 minutes when it comes to programming. So those are the main differences.
Yeah. I think one of the things that struck me, and I will admit that workout kicked my butt for sure. I was not really sure what to expect, but that concept of time under tension, saying the words, it's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll just be constantly engaging my muscles. But then a minute goes by, like maybe then you're 2 minutes in this pose and like, wow, my legs are on fire, or like my abs are on fire, like the lactic acid's building up. You just want to like quit and fall off the side of the machine. At least that's how I felt under the moment. But I do appreciate the fact that it's almost like riding a bike downhill or like skiing or something. Like you can slow down if you need to. Like you can pull it back. You're totally in control of yourself and of the movements, which I think lends itself to being a nice, safe experience and allowing each individual person with various different skills and athleticism to still get a lot out of the workout. But yeah, maybe you can kind of just describe like a typical class. You mentioned 13 folks in the class, about 45 minutes. Is there like a particular sequence, a particular routine that people could expect when they come into the studio?
Yes. So the way that we do it at Rebel Core is we find that it's really important, like I said, to be efficient and impactful. So every single one of our classes is a full body workout. And we follow a structure. We want to make sure that you are getting the most out of your workout so that when you leave, you've hit it all. You could be on with your day, whatever, or ending your day, depending on when you come. But basically what we do is we start with core generally to get the whole body nice and warm, really get people warmed up. We will generally then go into a leg block or an upper body block. And then we're, of course, paying attention to those obliques on the side body there. But essentially, every class does follow a similar structure to ensure that we're hitting the full body for them and being efficient, effective, and still challenging. So we have that core block, lower body block, upper body, and obliques. And you will generally find that in every class. There are some studios that will do, not us, Rebel Core does full body. There are some studios that do, an upper body day or buns and guns or something. I've seen like that.
I like that. I haven't heard that. That's pretty funny.
Which is cute. I love it. But I find, when we were designing our schedule in the beginning, we just want it to be as easy as possible for people to not have to put too much thought into coming to their workout. Like, oh, well, this time is, arms and glutes, but I really needed to hit my chest and back today. We decided pushing forward with a full body workout every single time would be efficient for us. And people seem to really love it. They are done in 45 minutes. They've gotten their entire body sweating, shaking, and working. So it's great. People seem to love our full body attack style.
Yeah. And you also kind of mentioned about the instructors and kind of guiding you into proper alignment. And I know this has come up with myself as I've been just trying to be more, I guess, aware of avoiding injuries or strains and things like that. Could you maybe shed some of your experience and expertise around like just like the kind of concept of alignment and like what that means to you and like how that plays out on the machines?
Absolutely. So, like I said, correction is super important for us. So, our instructors from their initial training are taught how to correct people. What is correct form? What is not? And the importance of working in correct form, because injury is easy when you're fatigued, unfortunately. When you get fatigued, it is very easy to injure yourself. And we don't want that. Not on our watch. We want you to get stronger. We want you to rehab these injuries and get past them. We don't want them to linger. So we don't mess around when it comes to form. I always say to my classes, there's no bad form on my watch. I would rather you reset than work through bad form, because injury prevention is key, especially as we age. Our muscles are deteriorating. Our bones are deteriorating at, unfortunately, a rapid pace, more rapidly than we've realized. And studies have shown that the more muscle mass you retain, the better that also lends itself to your bone density, your muscle mass in the future. So it's important. It's really important to us and to me personally with every single client, not only my private and personal clients, but every client that comes through our doors, that they leave feeling stronger, because you're getting yourself stronger every single class. And I love when people see that for themselves and they come back and they tell us, they're like, I've only done 5 classes here and I already feel a difference. I'm hooked. I can't wait to come back. I can't wait to get stronger. And it's great because it's only a positive. We're getting people stronger. We're making people happier. And we're keeping people healthy. And ultimately, it's in our hands. Our health is in our own hands. We can't, yes, on some level, we can blame the government with our food and all that stuff. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But ultimately, we hold the cards. We hold the choices. So the fact that people are making the choice to walk through our doors and they're seeing the benefits is huge. That's what like gives me the fuel to keep going every day.
Yeah. Maybe we could actually use that as a nice little segue to talk about the community that you and Bill have built around I guess both studios now in Cedar Knolls and in Roseland. Have you kind of planned that out in advance? Was it more organic the way that it grew out, like with your social media marketing? Like, was there kind of like a master plan that you had from the beginning while you're launching it, or did it kind of just develop and kind of become what it has now just over time through interactions?
So I wanted a community. I wanted a community that I've really been looking for myself. I had no idea that it was going to turn into the community that it has, and it's blown me away. I figured, we're going to get friendly with a few people here, a few people there, whatever, but I genuinely feel it's organically grown into this beautiful community of rebels. I call them, our rebels, because they really are rebels through and through. They love this workout. They love this community. The relationships, the friendships that have formed has been beautifully organic, I have to be honest. And it's blown me away. The impact that we've made in our communities, and the impact we've made on individuals. And every time I hear it from somebody, I get chills. I get really emotional because it's a beautiful thing. We knew that this was going to be great, but I didn't think it was going to be this great, if I'm being honest. Like, the people that we've met, the paths that have been crossed, it's just, I couldn't have asked for anything more. It's blown me away.
Yeah. Do you attribute that to maybe just like your own attention and intentions with it? Are there any potential, if folks are listening to this, any like tips and tricks for how to engage with your clients and your members coming into a fitness studio? Like, any advice around that?
Yeah, I really feel like our biggest thing is authenticity. We've been nothing but authentic and welcoming and genuine. And I love that we've been able to put our best selves forward and that people have responded to us, because it's been beautiful. Like, it really has been. I can't imagine a better community. It's been great.
Yeah, I know Bill likes to do some of these maybe first to 50 classes, first to 100 classes, and post on the page to get them with a photo and then the Polaroid. So have you noticed that a lot of your members kind of bring a sense of maybe friendly competition to these types of challenges that have been going on? Has that kind of helped build the hype?
Yes, 1,000%. They love it. We started that kind of like milestone thing, 50, 100, 150, 200, because they are big milestones. You are doing this for yourself. You deserve to celebrate yourself. What we didn't realize is what that was going to really mean for our community. And they really do. They have fun with it. They are competitive about it, but they have so much fun with it and they celebrate each other. And that is the most beautiful thing. Between the challenges and milestones, I feel like we always have something going on, but like in the best way. We're always celebrating something. And I love that because as we know, life can be mundane sometimes. Sometimes you have to look for the joy in life. And I love that we have joy in every single day at Rebel Core. We're celebrating something that deserves to be celebrated. People are putting themselves first. They're getting healthier and they're having fun while they're doing it. And that to me is huge.
Yeah, it's got to be a nice to have your place of work be a place where people come to kind of get away from their work, I would imagine, and be able to get movement in their body, feel some energy flowing, get the blood flowing, kind of clear the mind space and really try to enjoy that time while they're getting their workout in. Maybe you could also talk us through some of the challenges that you've had as you're growing and as you're opened up the second studio, like any potential pitfalls, any things that you maybe didn't expect that were more challenging or more difficult than initially you imagined.
Yeah, I feel like there were challenges all along the way, especially in the beginning of both studios, especially with the second. We really didn't know what to expect. We didn't know. We knew that we wanted to replicate what we did in Roseland, but Roseland really was our home base. Bill's from West Caldwell. I'm from, East Essex and Nutley area. So we knew a lot of people in the area. So we started with a great base of support. Cedar Knolls was a completely different animal for us. We didn't know anybody in the area. We didn't know the area. This was all uncharted territory for us as far as like area and people and community. We really had to build that community from nothing. We really had no idea how this one was going to go. We didn't have support in that area. We didn't know the area. We didn't know the people. So I think going into Cedar Knolls, while we were obviously very excited, opening our second location basically within the year, we were also very nervous. We had no idea how this was going to go. And we were kind of like, we're all in. We're going to hope for the best and hope that we get a similar result to Roseland. But it was scary. It really was. There were a lot more unknowns, I felt, with Cedar Knolls. Even though it was our second location, I felt there were so many more unknowns because it was uncharted territory. So that was a little scary. But we're now almost 7-8 weeks in. Our community is growing and it's been awesome. It really has been. The toughest thing has been juggling 2 locations now, logistics. It's really double the team and double the logistics of where do I have to go when.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, with that in mind, have you thought toward the future if you want to continue expanding? Where have you kind of maybe drawn a mental line as far as what your ambitions are with the brand and with the studios?
Yeah, I definitely think we see more growth with Rebel Core. People are asking us just today. I had somebody, do you think you want to open in Florida? I'm like, I can't even think across the state lines right now. So, that's the thing. That's like kind of where we are right now. We're really thinking like, do we want to maybe think about a third location? Should we kind of chill out with 2 for a little bit and coast? It's been a very busy year and a half for us in all of the best ways. But I don't know. I think the future is really bright for Rebel Core. I think there's definitely more growth to be had. I don't know what that looks like as of yet, but I think definitely, the wheels are starting to turn.
Very cool. Well, yeah, best of luck in the considerations and any potential extensions into Florida. I would love to come visit that studio if you ever open it. And maybe on more of like a kind of personal side with like work-life balance, you're talking about how much time and hours and days of the week are dedicated to this. Have you tried to kind of in your own, personal life been able to put up some boundaries or some barriers and have Stephanie time and, you and Bill and the puppies and all that,
Yes.
been able to make some time for yourselves?
Yes, we're really making more of an effort now to really find that work-life balance because it was tough in the beginning, especially. I'll be honest, there was none, unfortunately. I was feeling really, really bad in the beginning. We had just rescued another dog and we were just so busy. I really felt pretty guilty doing that to her because I felt like not that they were neglected by any means, but You guys know me. I'm a dog mom. So like they're my life. It was tough in the beginning, but we are, between our amazing Brittany, as you know, at Cedar Knolls and our amazing team at Roseland and Cedar Knolls, it has afforded us a better work-life balance as of late. So we're really starting to enjoy and put more time back into ourselves, into our marriage, into our relationship, into our home life, which is super important. The business will steamroll you if you let it.
Yeah.
The business will absolutely make you work around the clock if you let it. So it really does take work, and it takes daily work to kind of shut down and find your balance, put up boundaries, because at the end of the day, you need them. We work hard to live a beautiful life, not the opposite, right? Working hard is not necessarily the beautiful life if all you do is work hard.
Right.
So yeah, we are really trying to find some balance as of late, and so far so good.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's impressive and commendable. I can only imagine it's got to be a never-ending to-do list. I'm sure that if you wanted to, you could work 24/7 and still never be done. So I think it's kind of important to keep in mind, folks going down the entrepreneurial route, to keep your sanity as you grow and as you build, and make sure it doesn't completely consume all aspects of your life and personality. Well, yeah, just kind of as we're wrapping up a little bit here, is there any things you wanted to note, any kind of other plugs, any upcoming places, or just kind of where people can find you and check you out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I start my mornings at HardBodyz Fitness. I have a few private clients there, and that is in Verona, New Jersey. And then from there, I usually make my way over to one of the Rebel Cores. So Rebel Core Roseland is on Eagle Rock in Roseland, and Rebel Core Cedar Knolls is just down the road on off of Route 10 in Cedar Knolls, Morris County. Bill or I are usually at one of those locations pretty much every day. But yeah, that's where I'll be.
Excellent. And yeah, I will drop the links to the Instagram. I know they've got some great videos, and like for people who have never seen an X-Former before, it's a great way to just visually see what this is all about, what the workouts kind of look like. You guys have done a great job with the branding in the studio. Very clean, very cool. I just, when I first walked in, I was just impressed with the kind of like the vibe you get when you walk in there. It's like cool. It just makes you want to like work out, have a good time, listen to some good music. So I thought you guys have done a great job with your branding as well. So be sure to check that one out in the links also. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, Stephanie, and sharing more about yourself and your business. And looking forward to having you back sometime on the show soon.
Thank you so much for having me, JT. This was great.
Yeah, thanks. I'll talk to you next time.
See you next time.